Welcome back in, friends, to another Black Clover mobile video. Today we're going to go over Julius Novachrono in full guide kind of on how to use him in PvP and PvE, and just so you can use him in the best teams possible with the characters that you have unlocked and the gear and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So we got Julius right here at dupe 4. I will go ahead and knock out that dupe 5 as soon as I get another one of those items. I did a full 200 rounds and I don't want to go any further than that. So right now we're going to be working off of this, and I will have some video footage up in the left-hand corner once we're talking about skills and stuff like that for his abilities, and kind of that way you can see them in action when I'm talking about them. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. His skill 1 is going to be the accelerating bullet. Uses time magic to quickly transfer magic bullets to the enemy side, dealing magic damage to an enemy. So this right here gives us the reduced mobility debuff on an enemy. So it just helps with, pairs with Lotus very well, and other characters that allow you to kind of like speed up or speed down another team's turns. With this one, it gives increased mobility by a fixed amount. So upon landing, a crit grants all allies increased mobility, and then always inflicts a mobility by a fixed amount, 5%, on an enemy. So skill 1, if we look over here to the right, the upgrade effect is really just kind of subpar. It's just going up in damage. So not a necessity to go through off the bat. Skill 2 here is distorted time. The enemies and explode, distorted time. They hit an enemy and explode, dealing magic damage to all enemies. So 50% chance to inflict a time stop. Time stop increases the cooldown of skill 2 by 1 turn, and then it freezes. Cooldown reduction status effects will still be applied. So what this means is that you basically give 1 extra turn to the enemy's skill 2 cooldown. If for a chance they're already up, it'll give it 1 turn. So basically it'll silence them for 1 turn in returns where they can't use that skill. On top of that, if you're using other abilities that would also do the same, it allows that to affect on top of this 1 turn cooldown. So if it's like a mobility debuff or anything like that, then his skill 2, the time stop, will allow for you to add on slowdown for mobility, silences, any other debuffs like that. So pretty crazy ability right there. This one again it's just buffing damage. I did buff it 3 times because I use him in PvP right now, and skill 2 is one of those abilities that you are going to be using. The next thing is it gives increased speed by 55%. So it grants an increased speed level 3 buff for 1 turn. That is going to be to himself. The inflicts a mobility depletion debuff on designated enemy. So sets all mobility to 0 and reduces the attack speed. And then the last one that he gives is reduce mobility by a fixed amount. So a better version of Lotus, basically, when it comes to like just speeding up and slowing down the teams. He does pair very well with Lotus as well on the team, so someone that you want to bring along is Lotus. We'll get to that point near the end of the video. His ultimate is going to be Chronostasis. Restrains an enemy with Chronostasis and fires magic bullets at them, dealing damage. So this one inflicts the stun. We all know what stun is, just allows them not to take a turn for 1 action. This one is, I believe, it is 100% just straight up. I don't think there's any other character in the game that has 100% stun accuracy rate. Number 2 is it gives a 25% reduced mobility. This one can be upgraded by another 10% right here if you go ahead and use his, level up this skill. And we can get this up to another 20, 40, so 175, 175. And if you get a kill with his ultimate, then he ends up getting to take a full another turn, which is pretty crazy in itself because he does really high damage. Julius will usually go before Noel if you have him max dupe, because I believe he's at 107 max dupe, whereas Noel is at 106. So I think he's 1 faster than her. So you'll be going Lotus, then Julius, then Noel, and then if you have Mars or whoever your tank is or your 4th person, you'll be going in that order. So if you can one-shot the other Noel before she gets a barrier off or anything like that. That's kind of how you would do that. And I'll show up in these videos right here that should be playing. Hopefully I got a one-shot kill off someone so you can see the extra turn. And his combined attack, really nothing special, just kind of self-buffs, buffs attacks after granting 30% damage dealt. So nothing too crazy on that. If we look at his passives, if defeated for the first time upon receiving damage, grants temporal reverse, free revive, and then restores up to 45%. Once you get him max dupe, it's up to 100% when he revives, which is pretty crazy. Also, if you have Mimosa, the green Mimosa that gives a revive, if he has been killed and revives and then dies again, and then she revives him, he then gets his temporal revive back. So, yeah. With that being said, he's pretty crazy with that team, but it's not the best team out there, so it's kind of like a gimmicky thing. So for his unique passive, for every 15 speed grants 3% increased damage dealt. Every turn grants time accumulation, stacks up to 5 times. Time accumulation increases damage dealt by special skills by 10%. So if I'm not mistaken, this can stack up to a maximum, if you have all max dupes and everything with the skill page and everything like that, stacks up to a maximum of 21% increased damage. So whenever you're using his ultimate, you can use the ultimate for turn 1, and then by turn 3 or 4, you'll have a maximum of like 18% damage increase or 15% damage increase, which is pretty crazy overall. With the max level of dupes, then it gets even a little bit stronger. So that's going to go ahead and be his skills. Let's go ahead and look at his skill page. Of course, his premium skill page is going to be the best one. This one is Pride of the Wizard King. It makes his skill 2 have 50% chance to inflict a time stop, so it gives a buff to that. This one is increased to level 3, and then this one is buffed up to 60%, and then 10%. And then he gets an all attack for 10%. The other cards that would work for Julius if you didn't pull him, of course, are going to be like any of the all attack ones that give you, not this one, any of the ones that give you like an all attack, like right here. I believe the Fogelian does the same, and also this card right here also does the same all attack. And then there's one other one that you can use in that slot. Basically anything that just gives him more damage is where you want to be at. His just gives a bonus to the skill 2 with the all damage included on there. So let's go ahead and move on to the gear. For the gear, what we're going to be looking at is we want to have damage increased with magic attack being the main stat. We also want to have speed, of course, that allows him to kind of get that first turn in before the other Noel. Because this character does obviously blue versus red, he is going to have extra damage going in towards that Noel for PvP. And this just allows him to make that turn first with having the speed set. And as for the defense, it just makes him a little bit more tankier because usually units will want to focus him on defense. Like whenever your PvP team is on defense, if you have defensive set for him, it may waste a couple of their turns trying to get him down the second time because he does get that revive. So a lot of people will be focusing on Julius or Noel first. If you have a tanky Julius, then they're just wasting their time on that character, especially if you're running team comps with like a Rades or something that's just giving an extra barrier on top of that. As for the stats, you want to go for magic attack. Of course, crit rate and crit damage is always good. And then HP or defense is always going to be like the secondary stats that you can go with. On him, I wouldn't say there's any point to like go extra accuracy, not at this moment. One of the other sets that I would say is going to be good for him, I just haven't gotten it yet, is going to be the penetration. Penetration would be great, and then also you could run like a crit damage or crit rate set on him as well. Anything to just increase his damage overall is always going to be something good. As for artifacts, of course, you're looking for crit rate, crit damage, and magic attack. On to talents. I need to finish these up. I actually stopped and I was thinking about what I wanted to do. So the ones that I'm thinking right now is going to be magic attack and crit rate. You can also go with damage dealt and crit damage as well. That's another one that I'm thinking about running. Let us go down to defense. For defense, of course, we want to go defense. And then this one, you can either do this or this one right here, debuff immunity. If you do not have any other characters that can kind of help him survive later on. But honestly, for PvP, under 35% health, he's getting one shot after that anyways. Doesn't matter. Most of the damage dealers, especially when you're using him at the level that people are using him, then they're going to take him out real quick. So best in slots for these would be increased defense and endurance. So what was this one? Increased defense and endurance. Let's go ahead and look at the support tab. Okay, so you can either go swiftness and increase damage, or we can go accuracy and increase pin and the chance to reduce this. This one is also good as well. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with Julius, the way that his kit works, especially because he has a free revive. You can play around with him. But I would say, honestly, the best in slots for PvP right now is going to be these two. Increased damage resist and swiftness. For PvE, play around with it and see what you like depending on the team that you're running. It would make a difference in that for sure. So as for teams that we can run, let's go ahead and go back over here. We'll go ahead and look at manage teams. Pull up this right here. We can go, what I'm using right now for PvP is going to be Mars, Lotus, Noel, and Julius. This team right here is just kind of a tanky combination, with Lotus going first, and a lot of times Julius going second. If you're facing up against like a mirror match team of this, depending on whose Lotus is getting the first turn, then you can kind of get down the little barrier that the other Noel has. If you're having a problem with that, once the barrier is down with your Lotus, he should do enough damage with his ult to allow Julius to do his ult. And if your Noel is faster and gets to go next, like if your Lotus probably is not going to get a debuff. So Lotus is not getting a debuff on the first turn. If for chance your Noel gets to go after that, then you can usually finish off the opposing Noel with her ult rather than putting the shield on her first. If they have a Mimosa that's going to res that Noel anyways, obviously throw the shield just for sustainability and then rinse and repeat this combo. So don't waste the ult on Lotus on turn 1. You're going to use his skill 1 just to draw out that debuff immunity, and then you go a full cycle with Julius. He gets that, if he gets a one-shot, he gets the extra turn. If you're going with skill 2, they're going to block the debuff immunity. It's debuff immunity anyways, so you would kind of skip that and just go with an ult for maximum damage and then hope that they do like an AoE on turn 1 with Noel. She gets her counterattack in. Other teams you can do is just obviously like the kind of speed teams that you can go with, like Veltos and Finroll and like a Mars. So this is another team that you could run as well. You could also run like a William in here. This team just kind of makes you just go first, and you're hoping that your Julius is buffed enough to just get kind of crazy insane damage in. Yeah, I would say like something like this is just, if you had everyone geared and your damage was really high on Julius, I would say like, I think mine's at like 43. Where are we at right now? Yeah, we're like 43. If you were like a 50 to 52k with like, kind of like how the Noel's 31k magic damage, then yeah, you could run a comp like that on Julius. But other than that, you would not want to do this team because it's kind of end game. But anyways, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. If y'all have any questions, please leave me some comments. I'll be sure to look at them and help you guys out with team building. If you have any questions about like going forward, which units that we should be going for next, the banners and everything like that, please, I love having these, making these videos and having these conversations with everyone. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please go ahead and do that. It helps out a lot. We're almost to 400 followers. I want to get there like 450 to 500 before New Year's. That's a couple days away, so probably a stretch, but I'm going to be cranking out some videos every day. And thank you guys. See you on the next one.